Earlier on stream, I got everybody to ask me all the questions they would want to have rounded up about Firefly, whether or not she was good, top 5, if she needed Ruan Mei, you name it, I probably got it. In today's video, we're going to be going over every single question that I have, me answering that, and then hopefully giving you more sound evidence slash proof of concept on whether or not you should. I'm not going to tell you to pull a Firefly or not, but I will answer that question. Let's go over this. The first question that I have, Taylor's asked me, is Firefly top 5? Now, we answered this in a previous video that I've already released, or is getting ready to release, whichever one came out first. But I think Firefly is a top 2, 100%. I think this character is, by this point in time, a top 2 DPS character. The reasons that I stated in the previous video were pretty expansive, so if you do want to watch and get like the full context, it's over there. But if I gave you a brief explanation on what I think makes this character top 2, permanent weakness implant, nothing in the game resists whatever it is that it's doing. The only thing that can stop Firefly from doing a weakness implant, or rather getting the condition fulfilled, is going to be one of the characters that locks you out. They lock out their own toughness meter so that they can't be weakness broken. That is the only thing stopping Firefly from doing whatever it is they want to do. 2, the damage when weakness broken is very strong. Now, I know some people are talking about the Ruan Mei and Harmony MC being the only optimal team. We'll talk about that in just a moment once I get to that question. But as of right now, that team being the only optimal team, quote unquote, is phenomenal. Everything that Firefly wants in a team, this team provides. Gallagher gives you someone to help you break because they're all weak to fire anyway, and Gallagher can one-tap. Gallagher, the basic attack ults into enhanced basic attack, that one taps a majority of toughness meter in the game all the way across the board, right? Especially elites. 2, you couple that with Firefly, and now they're both doing, break damage. They're doing super break thanks to the Harmony MC, because the whole team gets that. If they're weak to imaginary, Harmony MC helps you do that. And then, of course, you also have Ruan Mei on the team, enhancing the break efficiency across the entire board, as well as adding damage for the other characters. The only thing that would make that optimal team better, I guess I'm answering this question now somehow, but whatever. The only thing that would make that that team better would be if you combined one Harmony MC or Ruan Mei with a defense reducing character. That's the, or I guess if one of them had advanced forward, which Firefly doesn't need it. She has a perfect kit. This character has a completely built kit, action advance in her own stuff, immediately gets her ultimate. If you haven't seen it, check out Destiny's video. She pretty much shows you guys how to get a one-turn ult. Not like, oh, the end of my turn, I get my ult. No. As soon as she goes offline out of Common Rider mode and it's her turn, she goes right back in ultimate. Like, it's a one-turn ult. There is no downtime on Firefly. You are permanently in Common Rider mode, which means you're always doing enhanced anything. It's very good. Already talked about the damage that she has. She has damage reduction built into her kit. She heals herself, so the same thing that Blade does, where he takes the HP from himself and then he also heals himself. She has her own relic set that is pretty much geared towards her specifically until further notice, and she has her own planar ornament set. She does not require you to have a signature light cone. She does not require you to have any eidolons. She works perfectly fine with 3 other light cone options that are easily attainable, especially the best one being Fall of an Aeon. You can get that for free at S5 for anybody. She's a phenomenal character. We can go into further detail on that, though, at another point in time, or like I said in my other video. So the next one I have is from Venom. Venom asked, is Firefly fixed to one team? Now, again, I know what the optimal team is for this character, being HMC, Firefly, Ruan Mei, and then, whatever fourth you want. In this case, I really think it's Gallagher. She's not fixed to that one team. You can use Branya. I don't suggest that, but you can use that if you want to. You can use Asta. I personally don't like Asta, but Moon has made it work with Asta. She's got a 2 cycle that should be up on our channel by this point with Asta, no Ruan Mei. And that immediately debunks anyone saying that you have to use Ruan Mei with this character. You don't. It's just that Ruan Mei is the best option to use with this character. And that should be nothing wrong with that, right? Or there should be nothing wrong with that. Having the best or most optimal, the premium option for this character, there's nothing wrong with it being Ruan Mei and HMC. I don't know why that's a problem all of a sudden, because she does have other options. And yes, there is a loss of damage, but that goes to say with anything. If you remove the premium option from this team or from the character, the premium gear, there will be a loss of damage. I don't know. Are we like thinking that if I take away the thing that I paid $300 for, I'm supposed to keep the $300 damage? That doesn't make any sense. I don't like the concept alone, I don't agree with, right? I don't think that makes sound sense for people to be saying. And I understand that you want all of the damage, but this might be a problem with showcases from the creator experience server or from the, the dreams of people theory crafting whatever it is and then showing you numbers versus playing in game. It's similar to Acheron. When Acheron first got around and everyone was saying, oh yeah, she's hitting 1,000,000 damage, she's hitting 1,000,000 damage. And then oh well, if you take away her light cone and you don't have the nihility characters, then she's not hitting 1,000,000 damage, she's only hitting 400,000 damage. Why would she still hit 1,000,000 damage if you took away the things that helped her hit 1,000,000 damage? That doesn't make sense. So I think it's just one of those situations where people are complaining because they want the premium results without actually investing into the premium resources. Next is Firefly, a must pull coming from South. I never know how to pronounce your name. Sarumeji. I'm just gonna call you Meji because I know he knows who I'm talking about. Is Firefly a must pull? No, he's not, or she's not. But they did ask me a follow-up to that question. What they asked was, I'm starting at 2.1. That's a very important fact. And they want to know if they need to pull or skip her. They already have Acheron and they have Aventurine. So I think right now, your Acheron and Aventurine team, you're done, right? Acheron, Aventurine, Pela, and find another Nihility character. You couldn't get Silver because you started after the Silver rerun, which is okay. So now you can find something else to put on that team. That's perfectly fine. Right now, if you're going for Firefly, the optimal thing for you to do would be to grab Firefly and Ruan Mei. And that creates a problem for you because that is the optimal team. However, grabbing Mei and Firefly would theoretically set you up for the rest of the year. There should be nothing in the game that you cannot, both MOC, Apocalyptic Shadow, and what's the other one? Pure Fiction. Nothing in the game you would not be able to tackle if you had the combination of these two teams. You have what I consider the two strongest teams in the game. Firefly, Acheron. Everything in the game you can take it, you can accomplish everything, and you're done, right? So if that were available to you and you could guarantee both Firefly and Mei, I would 106% do that. But if you couldn't, I would heavily weigh my options, right? Not having Mei and not having Firefly and then only having Firefly, no Mei could present some issues to you down the line as far as like the damage output you're looking for. If you don't care about that, then of course you can use Asta. Or even Bronya if you have Bronya, but again, personal choice, yeah? Mei would be more beneficial because then you could replace your any DPS character for that matter with whoever you want to use with Mei, Himiko, Zila, Sushong, whatever the case may be, all that kind of stuff. So it's not too bad. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't call her a must pull for sure, but I don't know. Because it's like Acheron was a must pull to me, but not because of the same reasons. Next question is from Raz. How legit is the idea that Firefly only has one team? Oh, we just talked about that, right? Is everything that isn't Mei plus HMC that hard of a fall off? Does she have other viable options? Raz, I answered your question earlier with the previous question on accident. So we did that. Cisco asked, is building crit on Firefly cope? Yes. Critical hit Firefly is hitting for like 6K. And you heard that correctly. Not 16K, not 60K. 6K, bro. 6K, man. Next up is from Terp. I want to know if it's worth pulling for Firefly if you have Boot Hill. This is a really good question, actually. So I think no. You like how that was just really like short and sweet and to the point? I don't think it's worth it. The reason I don't think it's worth it is because Boot Hill does what Firefly has easier access to be doing. You just have to work harder. So if you do already have Boot Hill and you have no, like, you're just not a Firefly fanatic, right? Like, you're not in love with Firefly, you can get away with Boot Hill. Boot Hill is a very strong character. Still a top 5 DPS. I would save my resources. If I already had Boot Hill and I was potentially free to play or even a low spender, I would save until the next interesting thing came around or until Firefly's rerun, because you're not missing out too much on something that you can't do. Boot Hill does have weakness implant, so you can implant enemies with physical weakness, so you never have to worry about that. But again, you just have to work harder. Venom asks once again, or rather another question from Venom. Is it better to get Ruan Mei Eidolons or light cones or Firefly? Ooh, okay. I would get Firefly if you already have Mei, because Mei's Eidolons aren't essential. It's really like extra flavor, right? It feel nice. It's really nice. I mean, it's E1 is fucking fantastic. But Mei is such a solid, strong character that you don't need E1 to make her do the things that Mei does. You don't need her light cone. S5 Memories of the Past is fucking phenomenal, right? It still gives you the weakness break. It does whatever it is that you need, or not weakness break, my bad, break effect. It does whatever it is that you need to. And so picking up a character that's going to help you do damage, because Mei is not doing the damage, right? Grabbing Firefly, if you already have Mei, is significantly better than you picking up an Eidolon for Mei and still not being able to do the damage for whatever team that you're going for. So that's probably what I would do. Now, if you have extra, then if you're asking like E1 Mei or S1 Mei, I would go E1 Mei. If you had extra, like if it was just guaranteed it was locked in, I would do E1. And I guess that would answer your question as well, Raz. I think you and Venom kind of asked the same question. The pull order, what I would recommend doing. But if like, I guess if you had both, right? So you see it right here. You have Firefly, Mei, and then Firefly E2 over everything else. Is her light cone better or worse than E2? E2's fucking bonkers. If you, Raz, if you're a whale, one, give your boy some money. Donate 150 to me so I can guarantee Firefly. Two, I would do Firefly Mei and then E2 Firefly. If I had it locked in like that, right? If it was just locked in, I would do that. I would do that. I'm not saying, by the way, I'm not saying Mei's light cone isn't broken, Sarah. I'm saying what I would do because I value that E1 kind of saucy. And unless I'm, E1 is the, maybe I'm not thinking of the right E1, right? E1's the defense reduction or something like that, isn't it? Eidolon E1. Yeah, damage of all allies ignores 20% of the target's defense. I value this more than S1, but that's just me. S1 is fire, don't get me wrong. Pass self and mirror, increase the wearer's break effect, yep. Where's the ultimate, yada yada, damage increases, blah, blah, blah. I mean, this one, like I said, this one's not bad. It's fantastic. You know, I guess maybe S1 is better if that's what you're shooting for. I haven't needed it. I think that's why I'm saying I would rather E1 over S1. Because I've done every zero cycle without S1. I got cucked on the light cone banner. I didn't get S1. So the thing that it allows you to do, quote unquote, I've been able to do without the signature light cone. So it kind of like, yeah, like I would rather the E1 because it benefits everybody all the time versus the S1 if I'm already doing it without the S1, you know? I'm not even saying it's not that good. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I haven't needed it because I don't have it. If I had it, maybe it'd be different. Like maybe if I did have the light cone and I noticed a difference, like hypothetically with my Zealer runs, right? A lot of the Zealer runs I struggled with. So maybe if I did have the S1 and that magically takes something from like, oh yeah, I was barely getting a zero cycle, or I'm like, I'm not getting a zero cycle, I'm getting a one cycle. If S1 changed that, then I'm like, okay, yeah, I would do that, right? But I don't know. I was hoping to pick up S1 during this one, her banner coming up, but Firefly is too good for me to pass up. E1, and I don't even need E1. I just want it. Like, it's nasty. E1 Firefly and then picking up S1 light cone for Mei. I would love to do that. And I think that might be the order, right? Like I might try and do that, but again, I've just been getting so cucked on the banner, dude. It's not even worth it. It's not even worth it, man. I've been getting cucked. Let me see here. Next question. Faustromeria is the next question. Does Boot Hill and Firefly have anything remarkably different? The obvious being different element implants and one single target while the other's AoE. If they both zero cycle, this doesn't matter much. Now, we had a huge discussion about this that's Twitch exclusive. It was on stream only. I'm not going to bring it over to YouTube, mostly because I don't know where it is. I don't know where the timestamp is, and I don't want to go look for it. But we had a huge discussion on this over on Twitch. And we actually talked about this in depth, like back and forth between me and the chat. We went over a lot of different things, a lot of different scenarios. We put up gameplay footage, yada, yada, this and that. Boot Hill being able to do certain things, right? Being like a top contender for like top 3, top 5 DPS right now, very strong. The argument at hand was basically whether or not Boot Hill was stronger than Firefly or Firefly was stronger than Boot Hill. And so I think it's Firefly, but some of the chat thought it was Boot Hill. And answering a question like this is a little harder. I know that when I was talking to Taylor's about this and we said the zero cycle, right? Like I asked if both of them zero cycle, what's faster than a zero cycle? Like you can't negative cycle. And Taylor's brought up a good point. They mentioned that at the speed at which you perform certain functions. I think Firefly performs those functions faster, personally, but it's not so fast that it still wouldn't be a zero cycle. So at the end of the day, if I clear something in 0 cycles, or if I clear something in like half a 0 cycle, but it's still a 0 cycle, it doesn't matter. And this kind of is already answered by the previous question. If you already have Boot Hill, then I would not suggest grabbing Firefly, not because you don't like her, but if you're free to play or low spender, obviously you would want to save your resources. Like Firefly is not so significantly different or stronger than Boot Hill that you still can't get the job done. But Firefly being AoE, having permanent implant on everything in the game, and just being an absolute monster, like you could definitely make an argument for it for sure. Venom asked a really good question after that too. Is the break meta / team that I talked about in my previous video about Boot Hill, is it in full speed now that Firefly is here? Could Firefly make a mono fire team? Gallagher, Asta, Firefly, Himiko? That's a really rough team. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's a rough one. I don't like that. I don't think it would be a full fire team. Now, maybe if I replace one of them with like Ruan Mei or Harmony MC for the super break stuff, you could probably get away with that. But I don't like the sound of mono fire at all. I don't. But I think break is in motion. Do I think break is like they're completely viable, ready to go? Me personally, no, but not. I don't think it's not viable because it's not performing. That's not what I mean by that. I think that it's not viable right now because it doesn't have its version of what would be a Harmony character. We have Ruan Mei, yes. Damage percent and whatever else does not apply to your super break damage, right? Like the consistent damage that you're doing, that's not getting increased by the damage percent. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're not, oh yeah, Bronya boosts your damage by 60%. That's not giving you an actual like 60% damage increase. When we get that, I think break will be like in full motion, ready to go. I think right now Mei is just Mei. Like Mei is the support. Don't get me wrong. I think Mei is absolutely the support for break. So I don't know. It's really weird because the way that I'm thinking about it is more so like future term. Ruan Mei boosts Firefly's damage by like 60%. Okay, so then yeah, here's one of those things where you can correct me, right? I'm being told damage percent does not boost break damage at all. Like the break damage that you would do, the super break damage that you would do, I'm being told it does not boost that at all. So if that is the case, that's true. It doesn't. Okay, it's not the damage percent. It's everything else. Okay, that's totally different. Excuse me. Because I'm not saying that Mei isn't the break queen. Mei is definitely, that's where Mei is for. I'm solely talking about how we have a Bronya, we have a Sparkle, we have a Robin. Even Mei's damage percent boost the damage of these other characters, right? Break not being affected by the damage percent boost doesn't have an actual boost. The only thing that helps them do more damage is the defense reduction characters. So if there were another character who allowed us to do that, or if we had an enhanced for break damage specifically, then I could see them being equivalent to everything else. Because right now, everyone else they can use everything, right? It's like one of those things where like, okay, Zila takes full advantage of every single Harmony character in the game, right? Jingliu can take full advantage of every single Harmony character in the game, so on and so forth. Acheron can take advantage of every single Harmony character in the game. They can also take advantage of every Nihility character in the game. Firefly and Boot Hill cannot take advantage of every single Harmony character in the game. They can for the Nihility, but not for the Harmony characters. There's always something not being fully utilized. Whereas a Ruan Mei plus a Zila, she's taking advantage of the whole kit. Break efficiency, break effect, because the quantum entanglement, damage percent, the speed, everything. Versus the other break characters, they cannot take advantage of that kit, right? They're not taking advantage of the damage percent. They're not taking advantage of, like, in Bronya's case, the damage buff, right? Some of them don't care about the attack buff. It's just really weird. They only like, it's like they nitpick. So once we get a character or characters that fully, like, we are solely supportive for break. We are here for break effect. That's what we're here for. I feel like that's when it'll be ready. That's when it'll be ready. But again, me saying that they're not, like, it's not ready compared to the other teams that we have, is not me saying that it's not performing. These two teams are performing out of their mind right now. Boot Hill, especially Firefly, both Firefly and Boot Hill are performing phenomenal. So it's not me saying that they're not performing. I'm just looking at this from a more average player / futuristic perspective. Cisco, I think I answered this one too. Should I pull Firefly signature light cone or get Ruan Mei? Oh wait, I didn't. Firefly signature light cone or Ruan Mei's signature light cone for Harmony HMC. Why the f would you pull that for HMC and not Mei? Do you have 2 Mei light cones? Do you already have a Mei light cone for Mei? That's the real question. It's better for HMC than Mei. Yeah, but if you already have Mei, wouldn't you just, unless you, I guess if you want 2, because they stack, yeah, go for it. I would, okay, Cisco, let's take that into account, right? If you already have a Mei light cone for your Mei, and you're asking me Mei light cone on HMC or Firefly signature light cone, they don't stack. Well, now we're going back to my original question. What are we doing? It's either they're there or they're not there. Who has Mei's light cone, Mei or HMC? All right, next question from Simon. What is the best, pull Firefly S1 or pull E1 Ruan Mei? Damn, you guys are asking the same question. Okay, I feel like I've already answered this, right? Chat, we've answered that question. Because I'm gonna tell you pull E1. Takaru asked earlier, is Firefly's light cone a must? No, absolutely not. We've already talked about a few light cone options, but follow an Aeon, definitely there. So absolutely not. Sarah's asking me, how do I feel about this analogy? Firefly plus Ruan Mei equals Fire Jing Liu. Firefly no Ruan Mei equals Firefly. Ooh, I like that. But I don't know if I would say she has blade levels of damage. I want to do more testing. Let me do some more testing without Ruan Mei and compare the differences, like, in game, and I'll get back with you on that question or that analogy. Because I don't think she's doing blade levels. Like, Firefly by herself still outputs good damage. It just goes from, like, maybe instead of a 2-shot, she has to do like a 3 or 4. Skyward asked me, is Firefly going to be reliable in the future? She's relying on breaking enemies. Is it a great way to survive and stay strong in the future meta? By the way, keep going with the content. I love watching your H-Star videos and way of thinking out of the box. Thank you. I appreciate that. Put a little smile on my face, you know? But to answer your question, I think Firefly is going to be very future-proof. Toughness meter is essential into the game's mechanics, so you will always have to focus around breaking. I think as long as, and again, we've already talked about this, right? The different types of characters they can release to increase break effects damage performance, whether that be defense reduction characters or specifically a break booster. They have a multitude of ways that they can increase break effect damage or a break team. So I think investing into it early now and watching it grow is very good. I think it's very good. I can't imagine the break characters falling off in the future because they're, especially with, like, correct me if I'm wrong, Boot Hill doesn't have a cap and Firefly doesn't have a cap. So, like, hypothetically, if you got to 1,000% break effect, you would see that in damage percent. What I mean by cap is, like, some characters have a they say, like, this weird text. It says something like increases blank damage by 500% or 50% of their total blank, cannot exceed 72% of their total attack. It'll say something like that. Firefly and Boot Hill don't have that. There's no, like, cannot exceed. It could exceed whatever it wants. Firefly's floor versus the max stats is not going to be that different. I don't know, man. If I see 1,000% break effect, I expect 1,000%. Stony Bridge asked, I have pulled for many characters, but none past E0. If I was to ever E2 somebody, because I don't got the money for E6, would you suggest Firefly or someone else? If you were going to look at characters that you want to permanently, like, you never want to let them go. Acheron, Firefly. Are we still agree, chat? Do we all still agree about E2 Daniel? E2 Dill? Yeah, I was gonna say, is E2 Daniel one of those characters where like you get E2 and then you're good? No, nah, okay, whoa, okay. We got more no's than we do yeses. We got more, okay, so if you already have E2 Daniel, sure. But if you don't, no, because E0 Acheron over E2 Daniel. All right, okay. So E2 Acheron, E2 Firefly, that seems to be the thing that we have right now. Let me look at the other characters, see what else we got. There are 5 stars here. Anybody else that's E2 future proof? I'm assuming we're talking about only DPSs, right? Kafka. I guess you don't need E2 though, huh? E1 Kafka is pretty solid. No, not even Kafka. Not even. Nah, I wouldn't say E1 Jingliu either. Although I do like E1 Jingliu. E2 Topaz. E2 Topaz. E2 Topaz. If we're talking about E2s, E2 Topaz. Yeah, Swan. Okay, so we have Acheron, Firefly, Swan, Topaz. How we feeling about Boot Hill? Are we thinking about E2 Boot Hill? You said not nah, definitely Topaz. E2 Topaz sets the board for everything else. It's not a simp. E1 S1 Topaz already completes the character beyond, the normal means. E2 Topaz makes her energy rotation almost like it's just super smooth. It's smooth like butter. I don't want to say it's permanent because it's definitely not permanent, but it makes it super smooth so that you have way more consistent Numby ultimates now. The Bonanza state, that's where all the damage is coming from. E1 Booty Hill is amazing. Okay, so Boot Hill. So we'll go with those for now. Topaz, Boot Hill, Swan, Firefly, and Acheron. I believe that would be the answer to your question, Stony, so that you can figure that one out. Quadruple's asking me here. Oh, this is Tranquil. Tranquility said, more general question. Would you recommend a player pick up at least one of Firefly or Boot Hill since the game seems to be pushing break content / teams? Absolutely. If you already don't have a character capable of taking advantage of break effect or becoming a break based team, like a Himiko for it, like if you already have a Himiko, you could get away with some stuff. Himiko is, of course, day one character or a base roster character, so she's lacking a lot compared to the newer characters, but you could get away with that if you just wanted to save a bunch of resources and you wanted to still be able to take advantage or use something from break effect. Himiko is a good option for that. Contrary to popular belief, Zila is an amazing hybrid character. You can use both break effect as well as, your typical crit build. She's very good. Now, I don't like this one, but I know Smack loves it. Break Kafka. You got to ask him about that one, though. I'm not the best at that. But I think ultimately, if you were trying to prep yourself for the coming meta, and it's quickly approaching, picking up Boot Hill or Firefly would definitely be in your best interest. Skyward's asking, is it bad that most of Firefly's damage is locked through Harmony MC's additional super break brought by her ultimate? I don't think that's a bad mechanic at all. It forces you to use the team. I don't think it's bad. Stony asked another question. Is the idea of pulling for coolness points a bad reason to pull for someone? Fuck no. Absolutely a great dude. I wanted Boo Hill because I thought he was badass. I just lost the 50-50. You don't have to pull for meta. Now, getting both, right? The best of both worlds. That's Fuego. Like I pulled Topaz because she's hot. She just happens to be, the setter for follow-up attacks. I pulled Acheron because I love her in every universe. She just happens to be the best DPS in the game. And then Stony asked again, I think it's the last one, last question we have down here. Why do people pull for signature light cones? Wouldn't owning a whole new character more worth it, or feel more worth it than something that in all likely would only benefit them? No. Let me briefly explain this, and I'll try and tie this into Firefly, although I don't think I can. Star Rail is not Genshin. So a lot of the mentality that most, and I've noticed this is only a Hoyoverse thing. This is not every other guy. I've played Brown Dust 2, Nikke. Granted, Nikke doesn't have weapons, so it doesn't really count that way, but PGR. Of course, I'm playing Weathering now. You also have Epic 7. Some games have the copy system, the Eidolons. And you need multiple copies of characters in order to make them function to get like the best results of whatever. Brown Dust 2 is a good example of that. You'll see a lot of the times where someone will tell you, hey man, this character is awesome, it's great, not at E0, right? You need at least E2 or E5 of this character, which means you need 2 copies or 5 copies of the character for them to function at a broken level that they're talking about. Meanwhile, almost no one in that game that's considered like top tier is running off of what would be an S0 equivalent. They all have some form of their signature weapon, whether that be a 4-star version of the signature weapon, because they have, you know, a 4-star variant and then the 5-star variant. And then you have, or they have the 5-star, you know, variant of that signature weapon. Most other gacha games tell you to build a complete character. And that if you cannot build a complete character, either don't bother pulling or just deal with having a very lackluster amount of substats compared to the, or damage, my bad, performance compared to the complete character. Star Rail is like in the middle, where a lot of the options for a lot of the characters being at S0 are really good. Firefly is one of those with Fallen Aeon. She works phenomenally with that that light cone, as well as the Indelible Promise, I think is what it's called, the Misha light cone, and a couple other light cones. But that doesn't, in Firefly's case, like obviously her light cone will be really good for her, right? Because it's better. It completes whatever it is that she's trying to do, but she doesn't need it. Star Rail, some characters just are significantly better off with their light cone than they are in their free-to-play options. Acheron, her light cone significantly better. Ratio, his light cone significantly better. Kafka, her light cone significantly better. Zila, her light cone 50-50, but typically significantly better. Topaz, her light cone absolutely bonkers with her light cone. It completes the character. Jing Liu, her light cone. Jing Yuan, his light cone. Boot Hill doesn't really need his light cone, to be fair. Daniel, his light cone. Blade, his light cone. Swan, her light cone. All of these characters, Argenti, his light cone, significantly better, right? It's less about, because I know in Genshin, it's all about like, I want every character in the game. I want a bunch of characters so I can just build a bunch of teams and play a bunch of characters. That's because the game gives you a multitude of weapon options so that the character doesn't really perform that differently without their weapon, right? You just go from hitting like 23k to 27k. That's really it. In Star Rail, just like in Honkai Impact 3rd, some characters just like missing even, and this is coming from someone who's like, I hate it, but I am accepting it. You know how in your traces, your trace will go from like, let's say you go from level 8 to level 9 and it increases by like 0.4%. As much as we think that 0.4% doesn't matter, when it comes to whether or not you could score a kill, like let's say you were trying to clear a cycle and the enemy was just like, it had like 8% left HP, right? You can't clear no matter what you do. Maybe going from level 8 to level 9, that 0.4% all of a sudden gives you the extra 8% in damage, because all the things in that kit revolve around that, right? Or the light cone. Some of the light cones are just dumb, like Kafka's light cone, right? Kafka's light cone, patience is all you need. Increases the damage dealt by the wearer. That's pretty standard, right? You can get that from Good Night and Sleep Well. Then you have, after every attack is launched, their speed increases by X%, stacking up to 3 times. Now, we already know Kafka is one of those characters where she wants to be able to go a multitude of times, right? You want this character to go as fast as possible. Having a light cone speed you up by doing what you're going to do anyway, which is just attacking, and she gets this immediately, right? Turn 1, she's maxing out this stat. You want this. This helps you get a better Kafka to do what you want overall. And you see the damage percent isn't that much different, right? 121, 125. It's the way you play the character that is changing. It's what allows this character to perform and do different things that's changing. So when you look at Firefly, which I don't believe Firefly is out yet, have they updated the site for that information with Firefly? I don't think they have. Oh, they have. Here we go. Yeah. 16%, almost a 17% damage difference. But then Fall of an Aeon is here. This particular light cone is not changing how you're playing Firefly, but it's helping you not need a sustain. If you were to use this light cone plus Ruan Mei, for instance, you could just get rid of the idea of a sustain altogether. Now, I don't think Gallagher is the sustain that people think he is, but that's a whole different conversation, right? What this light cone allows you to do is like, now I want to play with Pela. I want to put Bronya on the team, right? You could do that. And this light cone helps you achieve that because it adds the slow on top of, you know, Ruan Mei's delay and the slow from that, all the other kind of stuff, whatever, the freeze, potential imprisonment, all that kind of stuff. So it's more so about like how you want to play the character and fully building out the team. And again, let me also mention when it comes to building characters, right? And you're looking for whatever this character does, you have to keep in mind this is what you're aiming, the team, right? You can build an Acheron. Let's say you had all the characters in the world, but you don't have anyone invested into them. Well, you're just not getting anything from that. So you definitely want to be able to play Acheron, you know, have your Pela built, your Silver built, blah, 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 that kind of fun stuff. But that's pretty much it. So I feel like today this was a long-winded video, man. Damn. I feel like it was just 5 minutes ago. I said it was 20 minutes ago, but yeah. Thank y'all for watching this video. I think I answered all the questions that were asked to me with the combination of this video and the other video that's coming out. If you have any other questions, if you want to see some type of content with Firefly, let me know. I'll try and get that out. And yeah, comment down below, like the video, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Great time. My eyes are burnt. I've been on stream too long. I can't say my usual outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Everybody say bye, YouTube. Smell you later.